So tell me, what were some of the challenges that you came across when you were writing this book?
When I was writing the book. First of all, I was in jail, so the kind of material that I, that I wanted to source and reference certain things in my book, it was kind of a real hard struggle to get certain materials into jail. And at the time, I was working in the jail library, so some of the books that I wanted, they won't let you have them in jail. And then some of the books, because of the high information, they just they're not available in them circuits when you're in jail. You have to be looking on certain different channels to get certain books. So that was one of the challenges. Another challenge was seeing it through to the end, because it's easy to start something and then just lose wind in it, not have that dedication and commitment, especially when people don't see what you're doing. Like a lot of times, if I told someone, "Yeah, I'm writing a book," "Oh, you're writing a book? Okay." Like I'm crazy or something. Like it's not really a viable thing. It must just be some pipe dream thing.
Yeah.
So I think they were the greatest challenges with writing a book. Do you know what I mean? I had to sort of put myself in a kind of isolated mind space and just crack on with it. And I think that's easier said than done sometimes. It's like, yeah, it can zap you in
Most
different
definitely.
ways. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned in the book that you didn't wish to elaborate on aliens. Do you mind me asking why that is the case?
Yeah, it's not so much the fact that I don't want to elaborate on aliens. I didn't want to go into the topic in this book because the market I was aiming this book at, which is kind of like a historical thing, you can get stigma attached to the alien theme, and then certain academic kind of minded people won't take your book as serious as if you never mention aliens. It's like a blacklist thing. So I didn't want Treasures in the Sand to become one of them books where people would be like, yeah, it's good, but he believes in aliens, but I can't get away from it. Do you understand? So I speak about the ancient alien connection with all of the organic societies that were planted on Earth because we were seeded by a higher intelligence. But I didn't want to make it the theme of the book and make it overpower the historical message of Treasures in the Sand. I have other writings that speak specifically about extraterrestrials and that wider theme. So I didn't want to put the bulk of that into Treasures in the Sand. I didn't want to lose track of. Treasures in the Sand is a history book. It's like a roadmap through history, alternative history at that. So we do have to mention Anunnaki and certain alien groups that by now most people are familiar with. But I didn't want to overcook it. So most of the alien theme is within chapter one in Treasures in the Sun. I didn't really keep revisiting the theme. Whereas in other writings, I would have been revisiting the theme. You
Okay.
understand? Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are the challenges for the book moving forward?
The biggest challenge for the book moving forward is the apathy of black people. The sheep herd mentality that a lot of us still have, especially towards others like me who are in black skin, who have something authoritative to say, because black people only look to white people for authoritative stuff. Like, if a white person comes on the news and says something, they take that as Bible. But if there's a brother out in the street writing a book or doing a lecture or saying something, most people don't necessarily take that as Bible. They're like, okay, my man said this, but until they hear it on the news, there's no action behind it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's a kind of like subtle exposure of where we are still at, as we're still looking for validation from white people. We don't validate ourselves. So someone like me will have just a hard time fighting black people's apathy as I will fighting white racism supremacy. It's a tragic thing. But I think that that's the greatest obstacle going forward, because black people are still not mentally unified. That's why we can't be physically unified. And a lot of us are still, we're not dealing with facts, we're dealing with emotional responses based on our paradigms and our beliefs and stuff, and religions. Because so much of us still want to romanticize with Islam and Christianity and Judaism. It's very hard to reach that kind of person who's kind of like cordoned themselves off from ancestral stuff. and they've already got a kind of prejudged idea of who Egyptians were. They were sun worshippers, they were devil worshippers, they had the Israelites in bondage and all of that jive. So that to me is the biggest hurdle. And it's got a lot better. I'm not gonna say like, I'm not being doom and gloom. It's got a lot better over the you know what I mean, the last decade and that, but it's still to me the biggest hurdle when I'm trying to push out the type of books I'm trying to push out and trying to reach the kind of audience and make the changes that I see need to be changed in the world, especially when it comes to the knowledge about black people and black people's history and stuff. We have to tell it ourselves, and we have to drive it into our own people. And I think the apathy and the religious isms and schisms and the romanticism with foreign ideas and the dislike of anything African in your own self is the main problem that I face going forward.
Thank you.